Hey there guys, it's Klay here back with another video. Today I will read chapters 7 to 9 of What If Naruto Was in the MHA verse, and just like always, the info about the author of the story is in the description. Anyways, I will now begin. Chapter 7. Start. If I strap these to my body, and swim through a river, I could get a serious cardio workout. Naruto's thoughts were solely on training as he looked through the mall, seeing a weighted vest, weighted anklets, and weighted wristbands on sale for a decent price. On their own, each of them were kind of worthless to somebody who had trained their body well, but combined and used in an interesting way could make for a surprisingly good training method. Naruto looked through the window selling them. The mall they were inside of contained dozens and dozens of different stores, and 3 floors of places to visit. After a short train ride, and 10 minutes of walking, they had arrived at the place where teenagers could be easily found. Nope. Mina grabbed Naruto by the ear and started to pull him away from the store that sold the workout equipment. She saw the look that he had been showing the gear, and since she was trying to pull him away from training, it wouldn't do to let him buy stuff that would just increase his training even more. Okay, Naruto muttered as she dragged him to a different store. Clothing store. I do this with my girlfriends all the time, and you're wearing the exact same outfit when we met. I think you need a update. Mina stated to Naruto as she poked his jacket, the same style of jacket that he had been wearing when they met. Naruto looked down at his clothes, not seeing what was wrong with them. By the time that he had looked, she had already dragged him into the men's section. You're like super well built, so something with short sleeves or no sleeves is perfect. Also, maybe getting something a size too small would look great. Mina grabbed a shirt that wouldn't naturally fit Naruto and held it up to him. It was pink. That is very feminine. Naruto pointed out as she pushed the shirt into his arms. She pushed black baggy shorts into his arms with them, before she started to really have fun with it as she pulled him across the entire clothing shop. The clothes in his arms piled up higher and higher, until he couldn't even see what was being added anymore. Anyway, my quirk usually destroys whatever clothes I wear, so I wear jackets because they are easy to take off, and my pants are made from materials that stretch for those with quirks that make them bigger. Naruto lifted up the clothes higher up so that he could look at her. His choice of clothing wasn't just a preference, it was something that served a practical purpose in his life. She stopped. Yeah, and my quirk makes acid come from my body. Do you know how many pairs of shoes have melted? It's a lot. Clothes don't have to be practical. Mina gave him a pat on the head for being so simple-minded about this. He, a boy, just wouldn't understand why him wearing good clothes would reflect upon her as his friend. His image was her image, and the opposite was true. Anyway, look. See, you're on shirts now. Mina held up a shirt that had a stylish image of him in his one-tail form on the front, arms crossed in an action pose. They made t-shirts of him? When? I'm on shirts? Naruto asked with surprise as he looked at the shirt. He whispered it mostly to himself, since he was honestly surprised. Sure, he had saved a few lives in the past few months, but he didn't think he had gained any real fame for it. He wasn't even being talked about a bunch on the news anymore, since he hadn't done anything heroic in like 5 weeks. The news had already moved on to the popular heroes who were constantly doing hero work, so why would there already be merch for him, when there shouldn't be a demand for it? Mina nodded and put it on the growing pile. Yeah dude, you're like super popular with little kids, and since nobody knows what your normal face looks like, it adds to your charm. And your foxy fox form looks really cool. You're pretty muscular on your own, but your fox form is almost all might levels of buff. A lot of my friends at school think you're super hot. Mina had seen a ton of her friends put pictures they printed from newspapers and the internet in their lockers at school, and there were a lot of kids she passed on the road that would be playing hero and villain. It wasn't surprising to see children getting their parents to buy foxtails and fox masks, and parading around as Foxman from TV. Naruto furrowed his brow. I didn't do it to become famous. Then why are you becoming a hero? Mina asked when she heard that grumble from him. She pulled him into the changing room. She didn't go in it with him, and closed the door behind him. Most people only becomes heroes to be famous and rich and stuff, right? She asked him through the door. Naruto frowned. I just want to use my power to help people, but I can't do that without becoming a hero. So I need to be stronger, become a hero, and become well known enough, so that when people see me, they feel safe. Naruto changed into the first outfit she showed him, and opened the door to show her. She gave him 2 thumbs up. Looked good. That's like really cool. I mean, I want to help people, but for me being a hero is just something I'm just suited for. Everyone's always told me that because of my looks, my quirk, and my personality that I was suited for it. Really dorky, right? Mina had always thought her own reasons for wanting to be a hero were pretty lame. She felt even more lame when compared to those with selfless reasons. She didn't see it, but Naruto shook his head. In this society, that reason is fine too. Honestly, reasons don't matter as long as we're helping people. Naruto didn't speak his thoughts, but he did smile as he changed into the next outfit. This one has a jacket. Naruto liked that, he really did. Jackets were sort of his style, especially orange or black jackets. They really fit his color scheme well, considering he turned into an orange fox. Mina saw him when he opened the door. Yep, I'm going to try on some stuff too. Anything you don't like, just put back where I got it from. -1 hour later, so, what was it like? Running into a burning building to save people. Mina liked her ice cream as they sat on a bench in the food court. She had been meaning to ask about it for a while, since Naruto had already done heroic stuff. She had helped him stop a villain, but he had done more stuff in the past that she didn't have experience in. Was it scary? Of course it was scary, it was a burning building, and it could collapse or explode at any moment. I was scared the entire time I was inside of there. Naruto admitted with a grin. Somehow, she didn't believe him. Bullcrap. Mina pointed her fingers at him like guns. She didn't buy that for a second, she had seen the news, and he didn't look afraid when he ran into the building, or when he had jumped out of it. He had seemed like the definition of bravery to her. You were totally fearless, admit it. Mina teased him, and he shook his head. He wasn't. I wasn't fearless, I was scared that I wouldn't be able to save everyone. If people see the person saving them as scared, then they're going to be even more scared. My body just moved on its own, and I refused to show them I was afraid. Because this, Naruto pushed his fingers up against his cheeks, and spread his lips into a smile. Is the most heroic thing you can do as a hero. Sure, with my body I can save their lives, but with my smile, I'll save their hearts. Naruto slapped his heart a few times to show her what he meant. Mina thought on it. Single quote ... Sounds to me like he wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid of getting hurt, he was afraid of others getting hurt. That is, Mina stopped and smiled at Naruto, before she pointed to him. Really cool. Yeah, All Might is always smiling too. You kind of remind me of him, you could be his son or nephew or something. Man, this gets me really pumped up for you, eh? Mina leaned back in her chair and shouted out her last sentence. She smiled widely, pushing her fingers against her cheeks, copying Naruto. I'm stealing that, I'm going to be a hero who smiles too. Mina stuck her tongue out at Naruto. He nodded and grinned back. He would like that. Oh, let's go singing. I bet you'll be really good at it. Mina finished off her snack and grabbed onto him, pulling him to his feet as he carried their clothes in one arm, bags dangling from it. She held onto his sleeve as she pulled him, not giving him much of a chance to object to her. This is going to be fun. Naruto just smiled and nodded. Yeah, this was kind of fun. Later, oh my god, that was awesome. I didn't know my voice could go that high. Really enjoying your drink, huh? Mina used a towel to wipe the sweat from her forehead. She had been break dancing while she had been singing, seeing as she loved both of them. You know, I kind of expected a villain to show up today. Glad to see I was, boom *. Naruto looked at her with narrowed eyes for her comment seeming to summon forth a villain from somewhere. Naruto palmed his face, before he stood up and zipped down his jacket. He tossed it on her, before he transformed into his one-tailed form. Wear that, and use the hoodie to cover up your hair and horns. Since this is a mall, I'm sure there are some heroes here. We need to help evacuate people. Naruto told he as he left the small room they were in. She pulled his jacket on over her clothes, and flipped the hoodie so that her features were mostly covered. Well, the pink skin on her arms and legs were hard to hide, but with her head hidden, she wouldn't be recognized at a single glance. She followed after him quickly as they ran to the edge of the second floor, looking down on the first floor. Mina pointed. That's the baddie, looks like he's got a hostage. Mina shouted, and Naruto looked at the situation she pointed at. There was a guy wearing a cliché ski mask, most likely to hide his face, and his right arm was a cannon. It would seem his quirk was related to his arm being a cannon, because there was smoke coming out of the end of his cannon arm. He had it pointed up at the ceiling, before he pointed it at a man next to him. Nobody stop me, or he gets it. Mina, you a good shot? Naruto asked as he looked at a trash can. He took the trash bag out of the can, before he tied it up and placed it to the side. Gesturing to the can, she nodded and hopped so that she was inside of it. Naruto lifted up the can itself, her inside of it, before he looked down at the first floor and aimed carefully. Ready? Naruto asked as he closed an eye. Mina grinned. Ready. He threw her, at a high speed, right towards the villain. The villain saw the trash can coming, since it was a straight shot, and moved his aim to fire at the can. Naruto started to run towards the end of the balcony, while Mina jumped out of the trash can just as the villain fired his arm. The bin was destroyed by the shot completely, and as Mina rolled across the ground she lobbed a shot of acid at his pants. His belt and the hem of his pants melted in a second, and like magic his pants dropped to his knees. Out of instinct, the villain pulled his pants up. Mina stuck her tongue out at him, smiling widely. You little bit. Naruto came flying in while he was distracted, and kicked him in the chest, knocking him through a shop window and into a wall inside of the store. The man let out a harsh breath as he was knocked out cold. He didn't see what hit him, but everyone around him did as the villain was taken down rather quickly. Naruto looked at the bags that were hanging off of his tail, before Mina jumped onto his shoulder. Thought we were evacuating people? Mina questioned him as he started to run, the items that they paid for hanging from his tail. He ran on all fours to the mall exit, since it would seem their mall day had been cut rather short. She teased him as she poked her face, and she pulled his hoodie down over her face, shifting so she was riding his back. Naruto snorted. That was before I saw a hostage. All things considered, I wouldn't mind hanging with you again. Naruto had fun today, and really wouldn't mind a repeat. Though, next time without a villain ruining things. Chapter 7. End. Chapter 8. Start. Spring was in the air. With the winter season coming and going, giving rise to warmer weather, Naruto couldn't help but enjoy it as he actually took a break from training of his own free will. He wore the pink shirt that Mina had gotten him, though it was too small for him now, stretching to contain his body. Combined with the baggy black pants he wore, it was actually a pretty good combination. The sleeves of the shirt had long since ripped off of his arms, and because of his training the pants had rips near the knees, but Mina had told him that it looked good, so the rips and tears were fine. Hey Mina, Naruto waved with a grin. She had invited him to come to the part, so he had decided to take a break from training to come. She was wearing new clothes too, a purple shirt that had acid on the front, which extremely short hot pants. Thigh-high socks, colored like one would see from the 70s, and leading into leather-heeled shoes. She ran over towards Naruto and smiled brightly at him, happy to see him, and not in his usual jacket and pants combo. The fact he wore clothes she picked out for him was more awesome, and he had a bad boy look going with the rips that complemented her 70s punk girl look. Looking good. Mina pointed finger guns at him as she hopped back and forth, her entire body as animated as her personality was. And would you look at that, you're only a little hurt today. Mina pointed at the bandages on Naruto's forehead, and the bandages wrapped around his right forearm. He didn't seem super injured, and since the bandages weren't red with blood, they didn't seem like they happened today before he came to the part either. Naruto glanced away from her. This had happened the day previously, when he trained with Ryukyu again, since she had a day off and sent him a message saying she wanted to keep her skills fresh for combat. She had gotten a little too intense in their training, and it ended up with the both of them hurting each other a little more than intended. She had bitten his arm and scratched his head, and he gave her a pretty nasty bruise on her back. Yeah, I'm not getting hurt that much. Naruto denied her. She took her spot next to him and wrapped an arm around his, leading him down the stone pathway through the park. Wild deer all around them, with people feeding the tame, yet still wild, deer who just allowed it. Mina poked him in the side with her free arm, knowing that he was always getting hurt one way or another. Usually because he had the bad habit of pushing himself too hard. Either way, she took the lead and pulled him along, deciding the course they would take for the day. They hadn't gotten to hang out all week, since her school was really pushing them to study for their exams. None of that mattered though. Hey, this summer, before the UA tests happen, we need to go to the beach. I can invite some of my friends, and you can invite some of. Mina's pink cheeks darkened when she realized that Naruto didn't have friends other than her. She quickly let go of Naruto and waved her arms around in apology. So sorry, forgot your situation. I'm sure my friends will love you. I'm friends with this funny guy, Kirishima. He's pretty. He's been kind of down lately. Mina said as she grabbed back onto Naruto's arm. She wasn't super close to some of her friends, but she still wanted them to meet Naruto and have fun at the beach together, all of them. She had barely passed her exams with scores good enough to allow her to apply for UA, and she really wanted to celebrate. Going to the beach, bursting a watermelon, lighting fireworks at night, and even going fishing were all stuff that sounded like a great way to kick off the summer. Naruto nodded. Quote, I know just the beach. His brain thought on finally checking up on Izuku's training in person. He had yet to meet the boy in person. See him in person was one thing, but since making the new training schedule, he had never actually checked up on Izuku. He heard about the training from his uncle, and how Izuku had collapsed a great number of times when the stress got too great and broke his body. Only for a visit to Recovery Girl to put him right back on track. Even months into Naruto's training hell, the boy had yet to quit. It was surprising, and it showed the teen's determination to inherit one for all from All Might. Mina nodded excitedly. Awesome, this is the perfect to show off my swimsuit. I've waited months for the chance to wear it. Mina pumped her fist high into the air. She nearly punched Naruto in the face when she did it, but he leaned back and dodged in time to avoid it. He had long since gotten used to how much she loved moving her body around, and avoiding her flailing limbs. Wait. This isn't going to turn into a situation where a villain shows up at the beach, and it cuts out time together short like at the mall. Mina suspiciously pointed at Naruto. They hadn't had a villain show up and ruin their hangouts in a while, and a beach trip was the perfect time for their fun times to be ruined. Naruto shrugged. I mean, I doubt any villain would show up at this beach, nobody goes there anymore for relaxation. Naruto seriously doubted any villains would have a reason to show up. It wasn't like everywhere he went was a good place for bad guys. The middle of a street, great place for a villain to make a debut. Inside of a crowded mall, amazing location for a villain to make his mark in the news. This time, it was a secluded location that was being used as a garbage dump for years, and though it looked a lot cleaner now, it had no villain value. Mina smiled widely, eyes sparkling when she realized this was a great chance for her. Something touched her butt. Oh, it's a deer. Mina had turned her head and saw a deer was nibbling at the cut-off portion of her shorts, and she stepped forward out of its reach. She reached out and rubbed the side of its neck. Naruto, touch this deer, it's really relaxing and peace, like Icarus, I swore to the sun. A man with white wings jumped off of tree he had climbed, stripping absolutely naked from his coat, his nude body on complete display as his wings flapped, and he took off into the sky. Mina's skin became a lighter pink when she became her version of more pale, while Naruto looked up at the man, his jaw dropping in surprise when he saw sudden nudity. What the hell? Wanna go to my place and play video games, before this gets weirder? Naruto offered as he turned around, Mina nodding and turning around with him as the two of them smartly decided this was too much for either of them. She didn't see as the man fell from the sky, behind them and hit the ground, before he got up and went back towards the tree to do it again. They decided that seeing what they saw was enough, and they were better off enjoying today indoors, if this was the alternative. Naruto's house. Hey Naruto. Tomorrow, do you mind? Ah, you have company. Young Mina, nice to see you. Toshinori walked into Naruto's room with a stack of papers in his hands, before he hid them behind his back when he saw Naruto wasn't alone. He had almost entered Naruto's room, and transformed into his muscle form to make a joke, but thankfully he had seen the girl before he went through with it. Quote, I have some paperwork I need to drop off at the office, do you mind dropping it off for me tomorrow? Toshinori asked Naruto as he gave a quick show of the paperwork. Naruto nodded. Hey Yagi-san, sorry for being here, but there was a sicko in the park showing. We decided video games was the mindless activity we needed. Mina shivered when she remembered what she had seen. No. You need to start sucking at this game Naruto. Mina shoved her feet into Naruto's side, laying on her back as she held the controller above her head. She continued to play as she tried to mess with Naruto, though it didn't work as Naruto mostly ignored her bare feet pushing against his side. Toshinori actually smiled at the display. Naruto transformed into his first form, before he tilted to the side. Slowly. Mina noticed her feet were on something really soft and furry, really warm, and pushing against her legs. Tyamber. Naruto fell onto his side, the side that Mina was on. No. No. Mina was crushed underneath a soft and fluffy hell as his larger body pushed her down. She had dropped her controller, her hands and feet being the only things free from his body. Naruto continued to play the game, not completely uncontested. If she wanted to play that game, then so would he, only he was going to win it. Need something? Naruto asked as he put his controller down after winning. Sitting up, Mina took the deepest gasp of breath as she sat up. Dude, you would make a great bed. If it's not too much trouble, do you mind dropping these off tomorrow? Toshinori asked Naruto as he sat the documents down. Mina glanced in their direction curiously, while Naruto turned his body back, and looked towards them. They were All Might reports, basically reporting all of his hero work he did. His uncle needed him to be the one to drop them off at the police station, so that they could keep track of what he was doing as a hero. Since he didn't exactly have unlimited time in his All Might form, it wasn't like he could waste time that could be used being a hero on police reports. It was already established that Toshinori was All Might's assistant at the office, and he was documented as Naruto's guardian by law. It wasn't odd for Naruto to be the one who would drop documents off for his uncle, and by proxy All Might. I don't mind. Tomorrow is the day we are doing that thing, remember? We're seeing that movie. You know. Mina made wide gestured with her arms, ones that confused everyone other than her. Quote. Wanna go see a movie? There is a new alien movie I want to see. It comes out tomorrow. I forgot to ask you. Mina rubbed the back of her head. Seeing Naruto's confusion, she realized she had yet to ask him. She had assumed that she already had, and had made plans according to that. Well, this was a way to ask. Toshinori looked at her. Quote. I'll take care of myself this time, you two have fun on your date. Toshinori was smiling brighter than Naruto had seen him smile in months. Well, other than when he realized Naruto had a keeper for a friend. Date? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Toshinori left the room. Yeah, weird. A boy and a girl going to the movies alone together is totally like a date. I didn't realize that. Well, it's not like we're going clothes shopping together. Mina was interrupted when Naruto spoke up. We've done that. I mean, we don't take romantic walks through scenic parks, we were doing that today. Mina was quiet for a moment as she thought about everything they did together. They hung out alone all the time, she was usually holding onto one of his arms and pulling him along whenever they hung out. They had gone to the mall, and he was in the habit of wearing clothes she picked out for him. She was always asking him to do things with her, usually just the two of them. She had a ton of fun with him, and when she saw her favorite movie series make a new movie, the first person she thought of seeing it with was Naruto. She and he even did some hero work together, several times actually, and their chemistry was through the roof. Even right now, she was pushing her feet up against his face, and he didn't seem the least bit bothered by her. Holy crap, how long have we even been dating? Mina jumped up and pointed between herself and Naruto. She tried to think about when it could have began, when she started to enjoy his company more than her other friends. Actually, you don't seem that surprised. Why aren't you surprised? I mean, if we're already doing everything couples do, then what does dating really change between us? Naruto asked her with a dull tone. They did everything couples did but kiss and that kind of stuff. Honestly, their relationship wouldn't really change if they did or didn't start to officially date. All that would happen was that they would show a little more romantic affection. Mina sat down. Dude, we're totally boyfriend and girlfriend. Actually, I think you're right. And I already think you're a total hottie and love hanging with you. How about you? Mina grabbed her controller and started to play with Naruto again. She had taken on the same dull tone that he had, starting to realize that she was making way too big of a deal out of this. He did make a really good point after all. Duh, you're super cute, and if I didn't like being around you, this conversation wouldn't be happening. Guess we're official now. Naruto tilted his head to the side, and Mina nodded her head. Yep, Mina is a thing. Mina spoke sagely, since as a couple, they needed a couple name. By the way, turn into your fox form. Mina told him as she reached out with one hand, and unzipped the jacket he had put back on. When he turned into it, she moved so that she was sitting between his legs, and relaxed back so that she was laying against his chest and stomach. Yep, knew it, you're an awesome chair. You're my boyfriend, so get used to doing whatever I tell you to do. Mina joked with a grin as she looked up at him. He rolled his eyes. How is that any different than what I'm already doing? That means you need to lose to me next round. Mina stuck her tongue out at him. She was getting sick of losing to him over and over, so she was going to abuse girlfriend power as much as possible. No. Damn. Chapter 8. End. Chapter 9. Start. End. Izuku's training was going well. Only a few months into the training, and Naruto was able to visibly see the massive amounts of improvements that had happened to the boy. His muscles had been ripped to shreds, and reborn into a new, slightly more macho, form than his starting point of, well, having no muscles. Izuku had cleared away over half of the beach of the garbage at this point, and by the time that January rolled around, the first 9 months of the plan would be over, leaving Izuku ready for his training in One for All to start. It would take about a month before the boy learned how to not fire off all of his punches and kicks at 100% power, something that was bound to happen considering the boy was quirkless and had no experience controlling a quirk. It would be harder for the quirkless to learn how to use something that those with quirks naturally knew how to use. Then again, his uncle was an exception to that rule. Seriously, you're just going to lay there? Not even play in the water? Mina asked Naruto as she stood over him, looking down at him with a disappointed look, wearing her white frilled bikini just for him now. Originally, she had just wanted to show it off, but she had been waiting for this chance since they started dating. Honestly though, their dating life wasn't really different than what they did before, only they were a little more physically affectionate now. You enjoy the beach your way, and I'll do it my way. You're the one who wanted me to take a break from training more often, and that is what I'm doing. If I go into the water, I can promise you I'll start training. Naruto waved her off. She had her friends from her school here with them, so it wasn't like she was going to be lonely with him not playing around. She had 2 of her girlfriends, and the Kirishima guy that she had tried to introduce him to, and the guy seemed pretty cool for the most part. He had decent muscle on him, but other than that he was a pretty average looking guy. He had light tan skin, with long black hair that covered a small part of his face, though all of his teeth were sharpened. The guy was a pretty friendly dude, and he was pretty enthusiastic about swimming in the ocean. Mina pointed at him. Gush over how cute I am. Oh Mina, you're so cute, so sexy, I can't take my eyes off of you. My heart is all aflutter, and my stomach has butterflies. Please, allow me to look away so that my weak heart won't explode. Naruto closed his eyes as he went back to laying back. Her cheeks puffed out, and she kicked some sand onto his legs. See, I'm enjoying myself just fine, watching you have fun. Naruto cracked open one of his eyes and looked up at her. She stopped pouting and puffing at him, before she shrugged her shoulders with a smiling sigh. Guess they had different ideas of what it was like to have fun on the beach. You could have given me a compliment without being sarcastic. Mina lamented as she turned around and started to walk back towards the ocean, with Naruto sitting up and looking at her ass. ... That bikini makes your ass look just as sexy as it always is. Naruto called out to her as he laid back down. What was he going to say? That her ass only looked nice and practically nothing. She was always sexy, the bikini didn't really change how good looking she was in his eyes. Mina pumped her fist in victory. I'll take it. She would take that compliment in stride, not much he could really compliment her on when it came to her swimsuit without sounding like a pervert. Also, she had kind of goaded that out of him. She wasn't shy about her body, so no reason to get angry about a compliment. Wait up guys, I wanna play too. Kirishima, get a bucket, we're making a giant sand castle. Naruto smirked. He then glanced back at Izuku. The boy was actually sending them all jealous looks. Like he wanted to join them, and Naruto was about to say something about it, before his fellow teen got back to work with a more determined expression than before. Okay, he's a pretty decent guy. He's got determination, and he can motivate himself. Naruto wasn't just laying down to relax, he was also doing it so that he could keep an eye on Izuku's training. It was moving along well. If the boy kept it up at this pace, he would actually finish the first 9-month part of the plan in only 8.5 months. That was, if he didn't push himself even harder than Naruto's plan was pushing him. Actually, in this heat, he should stay hydrated. Naruto opened up the cooler next to him, and grabbed a bottled water. Standing up, regretfully standing up, he walked towards Izuku with water in hand. The boy was pushing a broken fridge through the sand. Touch asterisk, ah, cold. Here, drink this when you get thirsty. You're doing some real hero work here, making this place beautiful again. Naruto took the water off of his face, and tossed it up, forcing Izuku to catch it. The green-haired boy was visibly shocked, before he smiled widely, brighter than he should be. Really, like a hero. Thank you so much. Izuku bowed repeatedly, thankfully taking the water and setting it down gently in the sand, before he waved to Naruto as he got back to clearing the beach. Yep, the boy was hero-obsessed, so comparing him to a hero was a great motivator. I'm going to take a break from everything. Naruto fell face first into the towel he laid down. He would keep an eye on Izuku, but he would do it with his eyes closed. As long as he was listening to everything that was going on, he was sure everything would be okay. The sun just felt so good on his skin, and the warmth of the towel and sand was just divine right now. Shark, and it's got Kirishima. Seriously? Naruto looked up and saw a shark in the water, with Kirishima in its mouth. Okay, so Kirishima had a hardening quirk, since his entire body looked more rugged and solid than before as the shark started to try and rip him apart. Naruto did a push-up as he hopped up, walking across the beach and towards the water. See, told you there wasn't going to be a villain. Naruto stepped into the shallow waters. Mina's quirk was worthless in the water, which would just dilute her acid to harmless levels. Kirishima didn't seem like he had taken his quirk to a level where he could fight a shark while being caught in its mouth. It was taking everything he had, it would seem, just to not get eaten. Is that what you're worried about? Oh, don't be a baby, you're not dead yet. Naruto shouted to Kirishima as he jumped towards the shark, landing on top of its head with a grin. Also, don't stop using your quirk, because this is going to hurt the shark more than you. Naruto grabbed Kirishima by his outstretched hand, and ripped him out of the shark's mouth. A very decent amount of teeth coming with it as Kirishima was forced to join him on top of the shark. He held onto Naruto for dear life, the shark thrashing underneath them as Naruto held onto its fin. Okay, Kirishima felt mad respect for this man he was holding onto. Naruto just grinned. This is so cool, Kirishima shouted, the fear of the shark eating him alive gone, and replaced with excitement as he and Naruto held their own rodeo on a shark. The shark swimming around in the water to knock them off. The shark started to swim towards a bird that was sitting on the water, a seagull, before it jumped out of the water and swallowed the bird whole. Then a change happened. The shark grew wings. Humans weren't the only species capable of manifesting quirks, it was actually possible for regular animals to gain quirks as well. It would seem that this shark was in possession of its own quirk. Considering the absolutely massive seagull wings it sprouted from its body, it would seem that its power was the power to imitate anything that it swallowed. Quote, My boyfriend is riding a flying shark. Mina watched the shark take off into the air, now having a seagull's ability to breathe air and fly. The now winged shark, taking to the skies, carried off her friend and her boyfriend. You're recording this, right? Mina asked as she looked her female friends. There was no way her parents were going to believe her if she didn't have some kind of proof. Seeing her friend recording what was happening, she looked back to see the air rodeo that was going on in the sky above. The shark's quirk was pretty damn cool too. Ah, okay, this isn't great. If it drops us from this height, and we're going higher. Naruto thought as Kirishima held onto his torso with all of his might. The shark just flew higher and higher up. Sorry shark, you were just doing shark things. Naruto apologized, since the shark was innocent in all of this. All it was doing was trying to eat, because it was a shark. Yet, here Naruto was, about to absolutely murder the shark for trying to sustain itself. Naruto transformed into his one-tailed state, Kirishima letting out a gasp of shock when it suddenly became a lot harder to hold onto Naruto. Though since his eyes were closed he didn't see what was going on anymore. Naruto grabbed both sides of the shark's mouth, where teeth had been ripped out, before he yanked up as hard as he could. There was a very unpleasant snapping sound as the shark's mouth opened far too wide, even for a shark. The wings it grew went limp, and it started to fall back down towards the water. Naruto grabbed Kirishima and jumped off of the shark, opening his own mouth wide as he transformed from his single tail into his three-tailed form. Just large enough for him to fit Kirishima inside of his own mouth, and close it around him. He prepared for pain. Hitting the water hurt when he flopped on his back the second he landed, and opening his mouth to release Kirishima, he transformed back to a human form. Swimming up as fast as he could, Naruto took a deep breath of air at the same time that his fellow man's head popped out of the water. Where's land? Kirishima had the sense to ask when he noticed that they were very far away from the beach, far away enough that they didn't even see land as anything more than a small dot in the distance. Naruto swore, "Hold on to my back, I'll use my quirk and swim us back." Naruto groaned when he realized that he was going to have to grow pretty massive if he was going to swim them both back in a timely manner. What a way to spend a beach trip. Chapter 9. N. And that is it for this couple of chapters. I hope all of you enjoyed watching or listening to this video, and if you did, please do consider leaving a like. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. See you all later and bye.